Tonight on a Great American panel, he, a Fox News contributor, our friend Steven Crowder is back. He's a Republican congressional candidate from Arizona. Jesse Kelly is here, and she, a research associate at Harvard University Center for Public Leadership and author of All In, the Education of General David Petraeus. Paula Broadwell is also here. Guys, good to see you. All right, so we have this Trayvon Martin case, and we heard what happened with Congress earlier and the incendiary comments basically declaring George Zimmerman guilty. Here's how some kids in Miami reacted. If you look at this video, and we'll talk about it as it's playing, they run out of school into, I believe it was a Walmart, and you see all chaos breaks out here. And, a Walgreens is what it was. And, and some kids were taking stuff out of this. And what is your reaction? Do you think this, in part, is because of comments made by so-called leaders?
I think what we see happening is either a non-violent social movement or a violent social movement, and nobody's really directing it. So these students have somehow organized and decided that their response to this rhetoric is going to be sort of semi-violent sort of protest, if you will. I'm sure some of it is a response to the rhetoric. The media is spinning this to the left and to the right, and these young students don't know how to deal with it. So
I don't see it to the right. I see the left always rushes to judgment. You agree with that?
No, I think you're right. If you want to see any kind of protest where people get mugged or raped or ATMs get looted, you go to a liberal one. You go to Woodstock or you go to an Occupy protest. You don't go to a Tea Party. This is an example of people, listen, we don't know the facts here. We don't know the situation. People have been coming out hurling racial epithets falsely at Zimmerman, by the way, calling him a cracker, and just they're being rageful. We don't know what's going on yet. Stealing tweezers at a Walgreens isn't going to solve the problem.
I agree. I think it's 100% the fault of Barack Obama and the other politicians.
Why do you think Barack Obama is at fault? Because of his comment?
Because I think he's willing to stick his nose in anything right now to get the American people's minds off the fact that there's really 14% unemployment and gas at $4 a gallon when we have more oil than Saudi Arabia in this country. I think he will literally try anything to get the American people to stop thinking about that, and I can't wait till we get a president who actually loves this country in November.
And you're running, and
that was a nice tie-in. He tied in every talking point he needed right there.
Well there.
Hey, that's how we do it.
But it has to come from the community too. I mean, our national level leaders need to make public statements that are, strongly against racial profiling and violence and so forth. But that community in Florida needs to be taking responsibility for this as well. So
yeah, but there's so much contradictory evidence, and this is what I don't like about the rush to judgment. I don't want 17-year-old kids getting killed anywhere.
Right.
And but we don't know the facts. I mean, to have an eyewitness saying that, Trayvon Martin was on top of Zimmerman and punching him.
Well, that's the problem. No one knows the facts yet. Right. And to have everybody grandstanding on it, everybody making a statement on it, and trying to, as I said, capitalize on a horrible tragedy like this is more than just gross. It's sad, really.
Well, if you can't capitalize on those, a lot of leaders, you're talking about people like Al Sharpton are out of a job. But let's assume that we did have all the facts. And let's assume that Martin was completely in the right, was not grounding and pounding this guy, lacerating his skull. He was completely right. Stealing socks, tube socks at a Walgreens doesn't better the situation. So either way, let's just point it out for what it is.
Well,
this is thuggery.
Going to the House floor and declaring him guilty, and accusations one after another. Apparently, and we may learn more, but what we know now is that Mr. Zimmerman, spent his weekends teaching African-American kids, math and science. I mean, it seems he doesn't fit the profile of somebody that has racial antipathy.
Right. And by the way, I would have many black American friends who would be very offended at the term African American, just so we play this politically correct here, because they believe they're themselves to be fully American. I think you're right. And I think this is people are being opportunists here, and they're taking advantage of folks. Like you said, Barack Obama tried to politicize this. It's wrong. We don't know enough yet.
All right. I don't have a lot of time. I love David Petraeus. How well did you get to know him?
I got to know him pretty well. I spent 3 years on my research project. It started as my dissertation, and it turned into a book when he went to Afghanistan, and was basically allowed to embed at the headquarters and follow him around and grab some strategic leadership lessons, and that's what the book is.
Pretty amazing. Well, thank you all for being with us. Great to see you. Congratulations on your run and your book, and Mr. Crowder, congratulations on being alive.
Getting married.
And getting married.